pleasure.
Pleasures.
I like that it was really dark. Like the screen didn't come on too when that happened. Like that was on purpose.
Yeah.
We're like, what kind of show is this going to be?
I am waiting to see what the rating is going to be on this one in the end.
Yeah. Get that explicit red mark ready. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mack Flash 5, the show where we like to talk about our top 5 favorite movie topic things.
Stop.
Now, today is guilty pleasures. That's technically not a genre, but certainly something that a lot of people have and will group into a list, as we are about to do. This was AB's topic, and I'm going to have him define what a guilty pleasure is.
So it's funny because when I picked this topic, I had this like idea in mind of what I thought a guilty pleasure was, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this movie. I'm gonna have all these movies, right? So then I started talking to these guys, and they're like, no, those are just kind of like movies that are so bad they're good. Right. I'm like, oh, great. So then I had to redefine it, and like through talking to these guys, kind of redefined it, and then I had to like redo my list entirely, and I've been redoing it ever since. This is my topic, and this has probably been the hardest list for me to make since we've started.
I agree completely, because it's very much like, well, I don't like bad movies, so I don't find them pleasurable.
But I do love bad movies.
Right, but that's a
different. Well, I want to pipe in too, because I have such a very different like movie fandom than you guys. Like we all like a lot of different things, and this is going to express that. But like, I legitimately like a lot of cheesy bad movies, but like in the context of like what society thinks, like, right. Do I put How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days because people like that movie? But for me, is it a guilty pleasure, or is it just generally regarded as a good film? So again, this gave me my wheels were turning a lot to try and like narrow down what I thought was like not only a movie that's regarded as bad, but one that I like and like genuinely enjoy. So yeah, a lot of tough stuff here.
So what I ended up coming up with was movies that are generally regarded as being not good movies, and also not like so bad they're good movies. I was like, what movies do I like that are just generally considered to be bad or not good movies that I actually really like, and it's not just like oh man, this is so ridiculous, and like, no, I actually like this movie, and I'll explain more as we get into my picks. But as I went through, I had a list of about 6 or 7, and 3 had definitely made the list, and there had 2 other ones, and they're all of the same genre. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go further, and I'm going to go a deeper theme, and I'm going to make it themed. And so we'll start off with so Matt, do you want to go through the rundown of how we do things here?
I'll just remind everyone watching how we get the show ready. After we decide on a topic, in this case it's guilty pleasures, we all go separate ways and come up with a list of 5 movies that fit that topic. We will be talking about 3 of our movies in depth, and we'll have 2 honorable mentions. So AB is going to start because he picked this topic. Hit us.
So no, my number 3. Okay, so my number 3, I'm going to come out swinging on this one. In 1998, in May of 1998, a movie came out, and it was a pretty big success. And then in July of 1998, another movie came out that it was exactly the same, and was identical to said movie, and it got all the glory.
But one had Morgan Freeman.
It got a Criterion release, for goodness sake.
Yeah,
and everyone forgot about this other movie and said how bad this other movie was. And I'm like, no. Deep Impact, directed by Mimi Leder.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is really good. It's still really good, and everyone forgets about it. Everyone would be like, "Oh, that's that like really bad version of Armageddon." No, stop that nonsense. Deep
better.
Impact is better.
This is
I'm
better.
gonna pop you guys. I don't actually like Armageddon that much. You'd think I did. Deep Impact is better than Armageddon, and that's from a Michael Bay fan.
Oh, there you go.
Like
man.
Armageddon.
Okay, well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the way I looked at it was, I mean, first of all, you have 3 Oscar winners in Deep Impact. You have Morgan Freeman as the president. You have Robert Duvall, and you have Vanessa Redgrave. All Oscar winners in there, and you also have an Oscar nominee in James Cromwell. But then you start, okay, so let me go through this. Let's go down this cast. Listen to this cast. So
careful, because casts don't always indicate.
I know,
films,
true.
No, but that's what's enjoyable about movies.
Especially like an ensemble, just like an ensemble like this.
Yeah,
so like I just named those 3, right? You have Elijah Wood, you have T. Leone, you have James Cromwell, you have Ron Eldard, who is Tim Roth lookalike guy. Jon Favreau, good old Johnny Favs, is in there.
30
you have Richard Schiff, you have my girl Lily Sobieski, Blair Underwood, Dougray Scott.
Both my guys.
You have Denise Crosby, Kurtwood Smith from RoboCop is in there, and Red from that 70s show. It's a stacked cast.
Yeah, it sounds like the other half of Hollywood that couldn't get into Armageddon.
That was a big deal, man. He was like, he was gonna be a big star.
And so the way I just watched it the other night, and I actually enjoyed it, but probably even more than I did a long time ago, because I think like you have Armageddon, which is just pure entertainment. Right, you have your emotional scenes with, oh Harry, please no Harry, blah blah, whatever. Right, and I mean, Armageddon does have Liv Tyler, which I'll give it that, but it also has some crappy Aerosmith song.
I can't get past Bruce's accent.
Yeah,
Bruce's accent pulls me out of that movie.
So like. It's just pure entertainment, but then you take deep Impact, and it actually takes things very seriously for the most part. It has a lot of like goofy scenes in it, but for the most part, it keeps it serious. And what I really like about it is that they fail. Right? They have the comet come in, they blow it up, it goes into 2 different separate comets, and then you see, they're like, okay, the mission failed. We got to put in these contingency plans. To see what we're going to do in order for mankind to survive, and they start making plans to like basically everyone just like, okay, we got 2 weeks to live, and so you get to see people what people start doing with their loved ones, and people start like making amends with their families, or like, okay, we're going to go and do this, and I really like that you get the emotional impact of these people being like, we're gonna die, we know we're gonna die, so what are we gonna do with our last 2 weeks? And so I really like that. But then you have all the astronauts led by Robert Duvall and the one crew, and they decide to have a suicide mission to take out the big one that would basically end the world. And so they do that. But what I like about it is the second one still hits, and you get like the disaster movie. I really like, part of it is like I really like disaster movies, and I like to see the crazy the ocean, the waves going over the Statue of Liberty and all that stuff. You get that in this movie. So you get what Armageddon does, right? You got basically the same kind of gist of what Armageddon does. Plus you still get the disaster movie of like the comet still hitting Earth and all the crazy stuff of things. Yeah. So you get the best of both worlds. So why Armageddon got a Criterion, I'll never know. It's robbery. Deep Impact is way better.
It's cool, man.
I feel like this is another episode. I feel like if we somehow went into the episode of, like Babe versus Gordy and Deep Impact.
Could you imagine that's what I start doing? Like my number 2 is Gordy.
It's Gordy, and you claim it's better than Babe.
That was Oscar nominated. Be like, Gordy, I love Gordy. Way more. Babe is ridiculous.
Gordy, that'll do.
Between the two, though, Deep Impact is the better movie. It's far more.
I spent like 7 minutes saying that.
Right.
I'm sure.
But since Armageddon would be considered the worst one, I would put that on my guilty pleasure list because I do enjoy watching that movie.
That's on every. If you Google guilty pleasure, that's on every list, and it's at a point where that's like its own thing because like people hate like it, but it's not. I don't know. You're right.
It became my whole thing is like if they made it a Criterion, it's can't be that guilty. Like, I mean, I know it's a like the laughing stock of the Criterion community, right? But like, it's a big enough movie that it's not really a guilty pleasure. It's entertaining.
You know,
so,
one last thing I'll say too about, this is a really good choice because I remember when Obama was elected, there was a lot of articles about like the significance that Deep Impact and like
100%
and 24 had on like the public conscience of introducing like a black president. And then I remember reading that and
first time on film. Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I'm like, that was probably a big deal. So now you look back at that and be like, God damn, Deep Impact's an important film.
Yeah. And they didn't make a big deal out of it. It was just like, I mean, it's Morgan Freeman, so I mean, he had that going for it, but like, it's not made a big deal of in the movie.
Yeah, did he get demoted though? Because he was God at one point.
This is the prequel to him being God.
Oh, so he's elevating.
He's elevating. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, I totally wanted to. So for my,
I'm going all different ways. So when you see me get to my number 2, I go different ways here. Well,
I already thought it was City TV late night films, so I'm already okay. So as always, I pull from my childhood for most of my lists. So I went the route of movies from my childhood that I like unironically still today. So it's not like I like this. No, I still like this film and would try to convince people to watch it. And most people will be like, no, thanks. So that's how I picked my list.
I know one on here. I know one for sure.
So and going back to the childhood, I decided not even to really put photos of the covers. So I just have grabbed them off my shelf because I thought this was a really easy list for me. Because all I did was I walked my shelf and I just kind of went like, nobody wants to see that. Okay, here. You know what I mean? Nobody really cares about that. Boop. And then I just pulled them like that. So that's kind of why. So I decided to bring the DVDs as proof that they were on my shelf. So my number 3, starring, let's just show the cover.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Great. I watched that a bunch.
So I was going to say starring 2 Back to the Future alums, because not only is Christopher Lloyd in it as one of the main stars, Tom Wilson has also he kind of has a role as a bumbling sort of backwoods police officer in the film. So Camp Nowhere is my number 3 because I have probably seen this movie. Now, granted, I do have a child, but I have watched this movie probably about 3 or 4 times every year. And if it's on, I'm watching it because there's just something about it. The premise is so goofy. And if you don't know it, it's these like 4 kids who all have to go to separate camps in the summer because their parents sort of want to get rid of them or like want them to lose weight or want them to go to like computer camp and all these kind of camps. But the kids don't want to go because it's hell for them. So they basically lie to their parents and have Christopher Lloyd, who's a shyster, pretend to be the guy who runs each of those 4 camps with the parents. So, he gets up in goofy outfits and he pretends to be a drill sergeant and he pretends to be a fat loss, counselor and all that. And basically they convince their parents to give them the money. And essentially it's what every kid dreams of. They go find an old rundown spa, turn it into a camp. They have all their parents' money and then they just buy Nerf guns and fireworks and party the whole summer. And that's essentially the premise of the film. So for me, it's just a fun time. And it's like, I mean, I'm way beyond those years, but I still think like, man, that would have been awesome. And I will say there aren't huge stars that have come out of it kids wise, except for there is an early Jessica Alba makes some appearances on screen. She's in that film. And a couple of the actors that are in it at the time were pretty big. And I believe the main boy there I think it's Jonathan Jackson. He was somewhat of a deal, but they didn't really kind of go anywhere, as you would have expected them to. But it's just a good, fun, silly, ridiculous time with Christopher Lloyd being irresponsible. He's sort of the adult at the camp, basically. So that is my number 3.
That's fun because I think that movie came out probably like 93, 94. So you were like 14 when it came out.
94.
So that would have been, that's like perfect age to see this movie. Be like, this movie rules, and all those people are your same age.
Yeah, that was like just before heading to high school for me. So it was like, oh yes, yeah, absolutely. And saw it in the theater, watched it over and over and over on VHS, kind of thing. Anyways, there you go.
Okay, we'll move on to my number 3. Like I said before, trying to find a guilty pleasure was hard, I guess, because like Mike did, I walked around my my library here, and I was like, yeah, I guess, but how bad could it be if I like it?
That's a nice commentary on yourself.
That's yeah.
Bold statement.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I was able to find 3. One came to mind right away, and that'll be my number 1 because it was jumped in my mind right away. But starting things off, my number 3. It Almost Heroes.
Almost Heroes rules. Yes, I love Almost Heroes.
This is a great, funny movie, but it's a funny movie, but not a great movie.
It's forgettable. No one knows this movie.
I mean, I watched, like, when Friends premiered, I was, front row on the couch essentially, and Matthew Perry quickly became my hero. So anything he put out during that era, I went to go see essentially. Chris Farley, this was the end of Chris. I think this was his last movie, right?
It was.
I think it is. Yep.
Yeah, which is really a bit of a bummer considering
the film.
Yeah. But yeah, it's about Matthew Perry and Chris Farley. They play. This is Thomas Jefferson is president at that point, and they play explorers. They're trying to get from Virginia to the Pacific Ocean, and they're trying to beat Lewis and Clark to do it. It also has Eugene Levy as a French fur trapper.
Oh yeah,
and it's just full of, I don't want to call them bad jokes, but almost skits. At one point, Chris Farley has to climb up into an eagle's nest to steal an egg because Matthew Perry is a thiever, and one of their guides with them has the recipe for an antidote. She needs an eagle egg. So after like 3 attempts, he climbs up there, climbs down, and then starts frying the egg and eating it. He does it again, and each time he goes up, the mother eagle shows up, and he has fights. Really, just SNL humor. That's a perfect skit for SNL. This giant puppet eagle, and he's whacking at it with his hat or whatever. They eventually do get to the Pacific, and it's interesting because they kind of make it seem like these guys historically beat Lois and Clark, but continued. So they never returned, and we don't hear about them. It's almost, they're almost heroes, essentially.
That's funny. The scene you retold is the only scene I remember. I've watched that movie. It's the only scene I remember, and I'm like, oh, great. That was what I was going to say.
It was on TBS, constant rotation on TBS.
I feel like I saw it a lot. I don't even remember like the last time I saw that movie or even thought about it. I'm really glad that you brought that up because I remember watching that quite a bit.
It's funny. Me and the guys I used to work with, our buddies Skane and Fontaine, we used to talk about Chris Farley all the time, and people are like, oh man, we obviously everyone misses Chris Farley. Everyone's like, we wish he was here, and then we're like, well, what would he be making? And like, I think I always said that he was already on the downward slope. Like, and people were like, it's a shame that Almost Heroes was his last movie. We didn't get to see him. I don't think he would have made. I wouldn't think he would have been making gems after. You see, like every comedy guy.
Almost Heroes 4.
It's like all of them. All of the comedy guys, their movies all just start to go on the decline. Everyone like Sandler, all those guys, and so like Chris Farley, you're not fooling anybody when you think Chris Farley would be making gems still. He would be making straight to video garbage like everybody else. So I'm I don't want to say that I'm glad he died when he did. No, by no means that. But like you can look at his movies and be like, if Almost Heroes is his worst movie, it's still really good and really fun.
Is that going to be the teaser for this episode?
I don't want to say that.
Birds in hell.
Tune in to this episode of Mack Flash 5 to see why Andrew's happy that Chris Farley died.
Chris Farley.
No, like it's just fun.
The one thing I will say about that is that we were robbed of, and I think we talked about this before, was he had signed on for a biopic of Fatty Arbuckle. Yes. And that was going to be his first foray into drama. Now he would have done Shrek and made a ton of money off of that, which then he would have parlayed into Grown Ups and probably taken the Kevin James route. But that Fatty Arbuckle movie is like a lost film that I always think about and be like, that would have been really dark and like really interesting. That would have been like his like Punch Drunk Love or Uncut Gems, like the Sandman did. So,
it's really it's a kind of a crossroads or a fork in the road. Since he died because he continued on the path of destruction he was on.
Yeah.
Had he straightened up, gotten sober, lost some weight and stuff, every Kevin James part in a Sandler movie is for Chris Farley.
Yeah. And even Sandler said that he did that song that was on SNL, and he said, he's like, if you were alive, we'd be on a plane making Grown Ups 4. That was like a line in the song. So he even acknowledges, like,
to my point.
I needed an overweight buddy. You were God, so I got Kevin James. Like, so.
Yeah.
That's my number 3. Scott.
Cool. R.I.P. Chris Farley. No Chris Farley hate on my I want to go. Okay, so this is I wrecked my brain a lot, man. My list was really like ebb and flow. Like I had some really like interesting movies on here, but like movies that I like that I know you guys don't like, but like generally are either forgettable or like fine movies. I think they're fine. So I like based a lot of this off Rotten Tomatoes / if they would ever show up on another list. Movies that I like legitimately that could defend, and I know they would never come up on another list. So for my number 3, I wanted to go to a film, and it's a bit of a cheat because genuinely, people will say that this is a good movie and it is the best of the franchise easily. And it has a quite high rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It comes in about 82. But given my sex, given my age, and generally how much it's not a common film that somebody like me would like, my number 3 I'm going to start with is 2007's High School Musical 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we could include TV movies.
It's a movie with a budget, with stars. As you will see, I have included some of the cast, including Zac Efron, Vanessa Hudgens, and some other people who were in this film. Mainly, what I want to talk about High School Musical 2, it is a radical improvement over the first film. The first film, also fun. All 3 of these. I celebrate the entire saga and franchise of the High School Musical trilogy. And High School Musical 2 has a couple of my favorite things. It's kind of the Saved by the Bell beach season in a film. It's the end of summer break. They all get jobs at a golf course. And hijinks ensue. Zac Efron's character Troy gets like a big head. He gets kind of arrogant because he's hanging out with the rich kids. So he like blows off his friends and stuff. And then they get kind of mad that he's got kind of shoddy and he's a good golfer. What I really want to highlight with this movie that I genuinely enjoy are 2 musical numbers. The first one taking place between Chad and Ryan. And it has one of my favorite things in film. Say it with me. Homoerotic undertones. So this is a dance number called I Don't Dance, where Ryan in the white shirt and cap is trying to convince Chad that he does in fact dance, that dancing is fun, but Chad's the jock and he says, I don't dance, I play sports. Athletes don't dance. And then there's this big musical number set to a game of baseball, which culminates in the bottom slide you'll see right here where they switch clothes, thus embracing the other person's point of view, maybe. It doesn't make sense. It's very.
I want to see the director's cut.
It's very homoerotic, but it is
in between those scenes.
Yeah, how did those clothes change?
No one knows. There are Reddit where people are like, "What did the clothes changing signify?" It signifies that they don't dance, but they're not. They're not above trying it.
They don't dance.
They don't dance, but they might dabble. It's fun. There's a lot of Ozzie Smith backflips in this and choreographed dance, and it's. I don't know. I guess it's guilty, but like I will happily admit it.
It's guilty.
The second musical number is the absolute star-making powerhouse performance that Zac Efron gives called "Bet on It." When his friends,
bottom left-hand photo,
when his friends have sold him out, and he goes, "Am I true to myself? Well, you better bet on it." And in doing so, he sings an anthem of a song that on the golf course, trying to win his friends back, and in doing it, he's skipping and pirouetting and just kind of like flaunting and humping. And is
he on the golf course or in front of a green screen?
It's a little of both.
Okay,
I mean, it was filmed in like New Mexico, but probably indoors in New Mexico. So who knows? I like High School Musical too. It's fun. It's harmless. It's enjoyable. I listen to the soundtrack.
Okay, why 2 and not 1 or 3?
So 2 is obviously the best one. It just has like a really tight story. Yeah, obviously. Like I like 1 also. 3's fine. Three's kind of a little haggard. 1 is fun, but like it's the same thing we talked about. You got to set up all the people, and like number 1 gives you like stick to the status quo, so you have like the groups of people. But by the end of 1, they're all friends. So 2 starts, it's like it's summer vacation, let's party. Like they sing a song called "What Time Is It?" School's out, and then like you're like, oh shit, I know all these people now. Look, we got all that drama out. Now they're all gonna go work at the same country club.
That's a failed thing. It'd be like, what time is it? It's party time.
I think that's actually the lyric. What time is it? Yeah.
Andrew knows it.
No. Secrets. No, I've never seen it.
Him and Scott are going to switch clothes.
I would happily. Let's do it. I own that shirt. Let's put it on. You don't have this, though.
Did you imagine?
If only.
If only. I don't know if it's guilty or not. But I enjoy myself. I enjoy myself some High School Musical too. So that's my number 3.
Oh my gosh! Okay, I tried. Okay.
Yeah. What time is it? Summertime. It's our vacation. What time is it? Party time. That's right. Say it out loud.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give him that then. I'll give him that. All right. Okay. So my number 2 is going to be easily the worst movie of my 5 movies that I'm going to talk about.
We'll be the judge of that.
If you've seen this movie, you will know that it is the worst movie on my list.
I know for a fact.
I know for a fact, and it is. It is a terrible movie. This movie is the joining of 2 franchises, the sequel to a joining of 2 franchises, and it is easily the worst of both franchises.
AVP 2.
That is correct. AVP, Aliens versus Predator Requiem from 2007, directed by the Brothers Strauss. And so, first of all, I will say I enjoy both Aliens versus Predator movies. I actually enjoy the second one more than the first one, and I'll lay out the reasons why. So they've tried for years and years and years to bring the 2 franchises together. There was tons of films that were in production. They always failed. Ever since the 80s, when they brought the 2 together in comic book form for Dark Horse Comics, they had their Dark Horse Comics had Aliens vs. Predator miniseries. It blossomed into separate series for both of them, and then they had a whole series for both Alien versus Predator, and they were very successful comics. And so they tried to develop that into a film for years and years and years. Finally, in the 2000s, they got AVP off the ground, and it was a mess. It was really stupid. They had it in the Arctic, and they made it like these Mayan ruins, and it was pretty nonsense. And like they always do in these, they made it about the humans, and the aliens and the Predator were side characters that the humans had to deal with. Be like, no. Fast forward to Aliens versus Predator Requiem, and now you get what I wanted to see this whole time, were aliens on Earth. So you get them coming to Colorado. Aliens crash lands in Colorado. They have the eggs, and right off the hop, very first scene. Sorry. I should say that it ends. Basically, starts where the first one ends, and so the first one ends. You have the Predator. Had the face hugger on there. The alien bursts out of its chest, and now it is an alien predator hybrid. Because the alien always takes the basically the DNA and a lot of the same things of whatever it was gestated in. So that people would knock that, but that's part of alien, mythology. Yeah, it's part of the mythology. So I was down with that. So that basically is the start of the first one, or started the second one. Is they start from that, and that alien predator hybrid goes to Earth and starts spreading aliens everywhere, and so they have the eggs there. So basically, the first scene on Earth, you have a father and a little boy and their dog out hunting. They come across these eggs, and the dog gets killed, and the both the father and the son get the face huggers on them, both of them, aliens burst out of their chests, even the little kid, right? And so, like, in the 80s, all that was plausible, right? There was, like, in the 80s, kids got killed, dogs got killed. No, nobody said boo, but somewhere along the lines, it became taboo for A, little kids to get killed, and B, dogs.
All right,
dogs
Andrew. Chris Farley needs to die, and children,
and kill the kids.
So hold on, hear me out. So right off the bat, they're like, okay, all bets are off. Nobody is safe in this. We're killing kids. We're killing dogs. They're like, nobody is safe, and so it goes just like haywire from there. Like the alien. Here's how crazy it gets. The alien predator hybrid gets a plan to go to a hospital, go into the maternity ward, and like gestate pregnant women with these aliens.
Smart, yeah.
It goes hardcore. And so, like, the thing I like about this movie is it doesn't give a crap about the humans. It's all about the predators going after the aliens. All of the humans are expendable, and people like the reviews that I've seen that hate on this movie are like, oh, there were no characters that we cared about. I'm like, right, good, that's a good thing. I don't care about these people. These people are just like fodder for the other two sides because the two sides are coming and fighting. Which is what I paid to see. I don't care about these people. And so, like, as it goes along, you're like, okay, are these people going to be the main people? Or are they the ones we're cheering for? No, they just died really badly. And so it just goes along, and it's mean. It gets so, like, some of the deaths are mean, so mean. So, like, I enjoy it because I'm just like, wow, they actually went there and they did that. But as far as a movie goes, like, these people did not know how to make a proper movie. Like, the entire movie is so badly lit, and like you barely can tell what's going on half the time because it's so dark. I don't understand what happened.
Love it, but you love it.
I really do. I do, because it gives me what I want. I don't care about the humans. They are just there.
Yeah.
They're just there. I want to see Aliens versus Predator. That's what I signed up for, and they gave that to me. All that rest of that crap, they just need to learn how to figure out how to make a movie.
Now, I have to say, you don't sound that guilty. You sound pretty proud.
No, I
am. I feel like
proud,
you need to be a little more
for it.
Like, and you need to be a little more guilty when you're announcing
I get a whole lot of grief from it, especially the Capicos give our friends Alan Will Capico make fun of me constantly for my AVP love. And they're like, I gotta
pick up all these names you're dropping in this episode right now.
People,
all these name drops you're dropping.
just people in his life.
Well, because these are the people that made me feel guilty.
Yeah, true.
These are the people that made me feel guilty for liking
watching
the things
children
that I
die.
like. Children die, pregnant women,
maybe
teenage girlfriends getting sliced in half.
Maybe you should feel a little guilty. I don't know. All right.
Maybe I should. I don't.
The things I've got to follow.
Don't worry. It gets pretty G from here. PG to G. I'm hitting hard coming out of the gate, but I'm going to go PG.
Let's go back in the old time machine. Let's go back in the old time machine in 1987. When young Mike heard that they were going to take one of my favorite toys and make it into
I knew it. I knew it.
Awesome.
What is one of my favorite films? Look at that Dolph Lundgren right there. Look at that. Oh man, look at him. Look at that loincloth.
Oh man.
Another Friends cast member.
Yep, we're gonna get into that. So we got let me just get there we go. Okay, so we got a tiny photo here, but we've got Courtney Cox there. So I like good old films too, where you can find people like, Leprechaun's got her counterpart there, Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
And I love that film too. But I love it when a good old celebrity shows up and they got a pretty decent sized role. Not just a little bit part, but a decent sized role in what is just a not so great film. Now, having said, I love Masters of the Universe. I love He-Man. I don't so much love exactly what they did with this compared to what they could have done with this. So rewatching it, okay, and I'll just jump forward to some things. Rewatching it sort of blew my mind. Just to start off, and even if you haven't seen any of it, but you just start and listen to the theme song, you start to think you're actually watching Superman. Because initially, literally, the composer, Bill Conti, it sounds like he took half of the Superman theme song and just sort of changed a couple notes. I'm like, what am I watching here? And then I realized, well, that's perfect for a film where they just kind of change everything. Like, so if you look at this photo here, you have, if you know anything about He-Man and Masters of the Universe, they basically made them off of toys, and there's just hundreds of these toys, and they just made all these characters for the cartoon, and here's a character, and here's a character, and here's a character. So you just got hundreds to pick from, and what do? Yeah, they make up most of them. Like if you look at this photo here, you got Evil Lynn in the middle. Great. You got Beastman in the back, and then you got this guy here that they just decided to call Blade. The guy with the eye patch. And then some creepy guy on the far right there. I can't even remember his name, but terrifying as a child. That guy terrified me. Not a character at all in any of the actual He-Man lore, and it just kind of follows through with the movie. But I will get to the good parts here.
If you're gonna say Skeletor is one of the good parts,
no,
travesty.
No.
What they did to Skeletor was a travesty.
Just hold on. This is why I have to defend this film. That is Frank Langella, right?
Yeah.
In that, and Skeletor as the character in the storyline. The whole plot of this movie is crazy, but man, did he ever act his ass off in that film? If you watch this film and you just focus on him, you're like, holy crap, there is an Oscar nominee. There's a, this guy is quality acting. And then there's just like everybody else around him. Right?
Yeah.
But which really actually makes it look even weirder, of course. But I just thought it was hilarious that they took this storyline and then you could have done anything. Sort of like Andrew said, you could have taken Skeletor and He-Man and all their characters to Eternia, where all of their things exist. But instead, the writers and the director said, nope, we're going to bring them to Earth.
Yeah.
And in the first 5 minutes, we're going to just explain that Skeletor has defeated He-Man and everyone else on Eternia. Just pretend that happened. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry about it. It happened, right? And now we're on Earth. Like, the whole premise is just, like, convoluted, but it's so damn fun. I can't get over the fun of it and the silliness of it, including... some of the things like, well, okay, no, this isn't one of the best things, but
oh my God. What the hell? What
is that? Okay, I had to just show that at the end. He gets that weird thing on his head, makes no sense. I will point out some things that I love. He-Man is known for saying what?
I have the power.
Hour and 34 minutes. Hour and 34 minutes before he says it.
Yeah,
Captain America didn't say Avengers Assemble for 23 films.
Doesn't take the sword out for like an hour.
Yeah.
Literally the whole movie, laser guns. Boop, boop, boop,
yeah.
And I swear, tell me that they didn't just go Star Wars. Okay, what worked with Star Wars? Okay, Vader and his soldiers. So Skeletor comes out, walking, there's like some music, sounds like it might be an Imperial March of some sort. Skeletor comes out, there's soldiers with laser guns. Like, what is happening? It makes no sense to the actual world. Love it. Little fun fact here before I go off of my rant here. You talk about Friends cameos here. So Courtney Cox plays Julie Winston, the main human, okay? And Sorceress, fun fact, you can't tell, Sorceress is played by Christina Pickles, which is Judy Geller, her mom on Friends. So it's really hilarious to see that. And we're talking like 20 years prior, to Friends. And you have them there sort of playing that role.
And it's Elliot Gould played Battle Cat.
That's right.
Not in there is no Battle Cat in this. That is actually that. Yeah. Let's address that.
It got cut out of the movie.
No Battle Cat. And like they don't even in creating characters, they've got this goofy little sort of like trollish kind of guy, and I can't even remember what his name is now. It's something Gwendol something or other, and he's played by Billy Barty. They just get rid of Orgo completely, and they go that's going to be too hard to do, like budget wise. So we're going to just make up a guy, and he'll be just like a little guy, and he'll be goofy. That's how they do it. But anyways, I can't get enough of this film. It's not good. Not good.
Yeah.
No one will say it's good. It's not the He-Man movie we wanted, but it's the only He-Man movie we got.
Exactly.
So if you give me a better one, then maybe I'll push this one to the side, but probably not. So that's my number 2.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this movie as a kid, and I think, but like, I could never get over how they did my guy dirty, man. They did Skeletor they did Skeletor so dirty. I was like, especially you showed that image at the end. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, because
at
the end he steals like He-Man's power. He takes his sword steals it, and then somehow that lightning comes down, and then it transforms his whole body into that like.
Yeah.
I don't even know how. He just all of a sudden he's golden.
I have seen every episode of He-Man. I'm here to tell you this never happened. This has never happened. This never will happen in any episode of He-Man ever. I don't know what the hell's going on, but yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy.
My big note that I wrote when I take my notes was, "What's with all the lasers?" Just so that's what I wrote down.
I mean, to be fair, they had laser guns in the show, but like not everyone was using them. It was like a select few guys.
Yeah, and there's actually one scene, like you gotta watch this for the cheesiness of it, because there's one scene where Skeletor's addressing all of Eternia because he's taken over. Attention, Eternia, blah blah blah. You look, there's like, I swear, there's 10 people. There's like just 10 people. That's it. Like that's all of Eternia.
Budget was stretched, I guess.
Yeah. You're up, Matt.
Pre-CG.
That's great. That's a great choice too. That's not a lot of lists. That's perfect.
It's so good, Dolph. I love me some Dolph. I mean,
of course. Except for Punisher. But I mean, that will not make any list.
Matt, tell us about Punisher.
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh. I'd sign out. I'd be like, out of here.
My number 2 is a movie I enjoy very, very much. And it could be considered a bad movie, but I mean, not to me, not in my heart. My number 2 is Surf Ninjas.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That photo alone.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
This movie.
What is Rob Schneider holding?
He's holding like some kind of spear
span
type thing.
Yeah.
First of all, you pointed out Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider, along with his buddies, Ernie Race Jr., who people may know as Keno from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the pizza delivery boy, is actually a very good martial artist. All of the martial arts in the movie are pretty spot on because it's very well done. Now, Rob Schneider and him and the kid there, I forget his name because he's not billed up on above the title here. It's Ernie Race Jr., Rob Schneider, and Leslie Nielsen, who is in the waves down here. He plays the big bad. Now, these 3 guys are high school students. Rob Schneider is at least 31 years old when he's filming this movie.
He plays a high school student?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. And he's in the 11th grade.
The next year he does Demolition Man, is he not? And that's like 94.
Right.
He plays a high schooler? Wow.
Yeah. No, this is, I mean, Surf Ninjas came off the craze. Like Ninja Turtles 1 came out, then 2, then 3 Ninjas, and then Surf Ninjas, all 4 years in a row, just like that.
I almost put 3 ninjas on my list, just for the record.
But yeah, Ernie Race Jr. and his little brother play middle school, high school students. And they find out about their past. They're actually princes from a Polynesian island nation, small one.
Of course.
And their birth father's bodyguard comes and finds them and tells them, you have to come back. It's your destiny and all this kind of stuff. And it's real fish out of water kind of in a certain point where, well, they just don't believe him. It's like, what are you talking about? And through the magic of prophecy, Ernie Race Jr. Becomes like an instant, warrior, martial artist. He's like, his character is never, they go surfing. They don't do karate as practice, but they're all hanging out in a restaurant one day, hiding. Bad guys come in, they start attacking, and all of a sudden he can, punch and kick and do backflips, and it's really amazing. His little brother has the power of seeing the future through his Sega Game Gear. Wonderful product placement. And Rob Schneider has no powers. He's just the comic. You can't have comic relief in a comedy. He's the over-the-top comedic relief.
Yeah.
And he just gets piled into the adventure with them. Tone Loc is also in the movie.
That's right.
He plays an LA detective who helps them on their adventure to take back their island nation.
What is the bad guys' goal here? What are they trying to? Why are they?
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen had kind of taken over the country sometime in the late 70s. I guess he was a holdover from Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
But he dresses in samurai gear.
Of course.
And in the initial attack, he gets sat on by an elephant. So throughout the rest of the movie, he's half cyborg. with the weakness of water because he's all mechanical and electrical. So if he got wet, he would go haywire and like blow himself up or something.
Oh my gosh. You're selling it. You're selling it.
I totally forgot about this movie. I haven't seen this movie in at least 25 years. I definitely watched it on VHS.
I was at a
sleepover
and I watched it, and I haven't watched it since.
Oh my gosh. I definitely loved it.
It's an annual watch. I love it. That's what makes it a guilty pleasure, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't watch it annually, it shouldn't make the list.
Do you have an SNL cast member in your number one? Because you were just firing on SNL.
Right, I know, right?
It's all SNL.
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Oh,
Can't wait.
Amazing.
Surf Ninja is my number 2.
Man, I'm gonna have to put that on the watch list. I haven't watched that in forever, and you've convinced me to watch it again.
Amazing.
Okay, I'll fire it over so my number two is a big movie. A big movie you guys have all heard of. It's generally regarded as the worst. So I wanted to go big. I started going through like my basement and I looked at my movies and like again, I had like 30 written down. And I wish I could have picked something a little more under the radar, but this is generally regarded as one of the worst films. And I saw it as a kid and I loved it for that reason. But then I was looking through like sagas, movies with like a lot of films. And granted, there's always ones that ebb and flow. So I knew I wanted to represent. So I went through my head and I'm like, okay, like franchises that I like. So I definitely wanted to get a franchise film on there. So it is my pleasure to announce that my number 2 guilty pleasure that I legitimately think ages well and is like an awesome microcosm for its time will be Rocky V from 1990. And I knew that this is a movie I could probably never get on another list, but it's one, and it's part of the reason why I will say that the Rocky franchise is the most enduring and spotless track record on making good films because all 8 films have been good. And the reason I will defend Rocky V because it comes back and there's plot holes galore. Rocky's son is totally different. Rocky's son's like 6 years older when he comes right back from Russia. And then so they give that. But the great thing about it is it's Sylvester Stallone's real son. So you watch that and you get to see Sly and his real son acting opposite each other. And like this movie gets a lot of shit, but it has like a really sweet story with Sage Stallone playing Rocky Jr., which again is brought back as Milo Ventimiglia through the films. But he has like his own thing dealing with bullies and this, and he's learning to fight and kind of like living in his father's shadow and that. And he's jealous because his father starts like training Tommy Morrison, who's playing Tommy Gunn. And you're just like, okay, Rocky can't do it because he's dealing with like brain trauma and head injuries from his fight with Drago. So you're like, there's really good stuff in this movie. And it's Rocky going to become a trainer of his own, taking over from Mickey. So you watch this movie, it's got like that 1990 flavor. It's got like a lot of New Jack Swing, which is fun, and rap music and things like that. So it doesn't fit. People like Rocky fans will hate on it. But when I was like 8 and I was watching all the Rocky films, I'm like, this movie's really colorful and fun and like badass for me. And then the final little bit, as you get through, Tommy Morrison, who's sided himself with like a Don King character. So if you want to watch Rocky Balboa go against a Don King style character in George Washington Duke, you get to see that. So that's like kind of fun. And then they have the street fight outside, which is like different than the ring. So you watch that. And again, no one will tell you that Rocky V is good, but due to the fact of Stallone's real son being in it, who's passed away, and Tommy Morrison, who was a legitimate like heavyweight champion who's passed away as well, it makes like this really interesting film, which again is revisited later as Rocky doesn't want to trade Adonis Creed, which in my headcanon, I tell myself he didn't want to do it because of how much difficulty he had with Tommy years ago. So because the franchise has evened out and taken it to higher heights than it ever achieved before, since the first one, my guilty pleasure that I legitimately think is good is Rocky V. So I'm happy to have put it on this list because it probably wouldn't come up on any other list unless we did best like fifths in a franchise.
Announcing next topic. No,
let's do it.
I'd have to do Saw 5.
It will be
Empire
all horror
Strikes
movies.
Back.
All horror movies.
But yeah, so Rocky V kind of rules, man. Sly kicks ass. He's got cheesier stuff around this time too, like from the "Don't Stop or My Mom Will Shoot" or Oscar are pretty fun. But like I don't know. Rocky 5 has like a 20 on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Burgess Meredith comes back for a cameo in his Vision. That's good stuff.
I will say thank goodness for making Rocky Balboa, so that if the franchise had ended with that one, it's a much better movie. Every time I watch Rocky 5, I find like another plot hole. I mean, aside from like his kid being 5 years older, because Rocky 4 was in 1985. This one gets released in 1990. If you wanted to trick yourself, you could account for that time, because the fact that Tommy Gunn...
Blip? Is it the blip?
I mean, maybe. That'd be hilarious. But the fact that
I don't think so.
Tommy Gunn has like 16 or 20 fights within a few months is kind of out of the realm of possibility in sports, especially boxing. I think
you got
he fights 6 times a year.
He got the Mickey Rourke treatment,
I guess. But that's of course the worst of those movies. But
of course,
obviously,
and like if you saw it in 1990 and you left. And the end credits are Elton John's "Measure Man," which is incredibly sappy.
It's like they wanted to get that song over.
Yeah, and then exactly. And then if you were like, "This sucks," you had to wait 16 years. But like, I saw this film as a kid, and then I revisited like really my love of the Rocky franchise was when I was in high school. So I remember a men's fitness magazine was like Stallone talking about writing Rocky 6, and I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, if you had to wait 16 years, you'd be pissed off. But I didn't have to wait 16 years. This movie came out when I was 2, so I didn't.
Right.
By the time I had watched it, I knew that there was another one coming.
Right. So yeah, exactly. The fact that there's 3 better movies after it, you can certainly digest it.
My ring's outside. That line pops me. On to you, AB.
All right, so we're gonna get into our honorable mentions, and so we're just gonna mention them, but I will, say a couple things just in defense.
I want to talk too.
Okay, so so my next couple movies, these 2 movies are big budget movies that kind of flopped. And I think that they're actually really good. And so my first one is from Disney, one of Disney's biggest failures, John Carter. John Carter is a great film. I think it's an amazing film. And there's just a litany of reasons of why it failed. And I'm not going to get into them because we could sit here and talk for an hour. But
that poster, probably.
Yeah, I was all in on Taylor Kitsch movie star, man. Tim Riggins in the movies.
It's like if you watch it's got a really great cast and it's got great special effects. It looks great. I think it's just a really great film, but it just for tons of reasons is bad. And we're Chronicles of Riddick.
Wow. You're testosterone into my heart right now.
I know. And so I love Pitch Black. Pitch Black, I think, is a legitimately great film. Chronicles of Riddick is not a great film, but they take Vin Diesel takes his Fast and Furious money and was like, I want to make this character Riddick in Chronicles of Riddick, and they go all out, and the budget is humongous and it looks great. And for my money, it's not a bad film, and so it takes a lot of flack, but I enjoy it. I really like Chronicles of Riddick. Riddick is a piece of shit, the third one, but 2 Chronicles of Riddick is solid.
All right, let's continue along. Honorable mentions, movies I've seen in the theater that I don't regret seeing and now I own. Mom and Dad Save the World.
Yeah, your list is awesome. Your list is
Boldly going where no parents have gone before.
That movie's great.
Literally just watched that. Like without this list existing, I just watched that.
Yeah, that was me for Surf Ninjas. It was like I was watching that, and AB was like top 10 or top 5 guilty pleasures. Like, oh, here's one.
One's done. Something weird is on the air. Stay tuned.
Yes, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew
Where
it.
they get?
Oh, is that what genre? Is that like a Pleasantville?
It's a fantastic.
No, they
movie.
get sent into the TV, and it's like an alternate cable channel, and it's sort of like hell. And so like they're in alternate. Yeah, he's the main guy. They're alternate Wayne's World, and like there's all just evil, horrible things, and they have to.
Who directed that?
Peter Hyams. Right. No, nobody big. So yeah, those are just like those cheesy ones that I've owned forever and had them on VHS. Switched them over to DVD because I needed to make that switch, and I'll watch them every year. And people think I'm crazy. So there you go.
I don't. I love both of those.
Okay. My honorable mentions. Let's see here. Spice World.
I knew that. I knew that one.
Yeah.
I knew that one. I knew that was coming.
I walked out of the theater
Oh.
on this.
And it was I put this in as a joke, and we talked about it earlier before we got on the air.
No shit.
Part 3.
Wow. Did you have that on when I brought it up off camera?
I had it ready. This was always going to be an honorable mention of mine.
It's so funny. We literally had a 20-minute conversation about that movie before we came on.
Godfather.
Just simply because
sat there knowing it was coming.
there are aspects of The Godfather Part 3 that I like more than Godfather Part 2. That's why it gets on the honorable mention here.
Man, we just said, like, if you compare it to pretty much any other movie other than The Godfathers and Goodfellas, it's great. It is great. I mean, it's not good. It's not good compared to those movies, but on its own, it's fine. It's great.
Sofia Coppola with the line delivery of the year on, I love him. He's your first cousin. I love him first. Thanks, Sofia. Thanks, Sofia Coppola.
I watched The Godfather, the remake,
Coda.
The Coda. I dislike that very much. It was not. I mean, not to say it wasn't good. It's all stuff from the cutting room floor, or a couple of scenes.
And then they cut the movie about 7 seconds too early from the theatrical release.
It's not. That was not a good idea.
Yeah,
that's an interesting idea. I'm gonna go to. I could have done 50. I don't know where I fall on that, but I'm gonna go one movie that I legitimately love, and you hear me talk about, and that's 2002's Showtime. People shit on Eddie's little Showtime. 15 years. Showtime is phenomenal. I rewatched it. The director I forgot was Shatner playing himself, trying to get them to do T.J. Hooker stuff. That movie is beginning to end incredible stuff.
It's fun.
And in my second honorable mention spot, I didn't know what I wanted to pick, but I'm gonna go with Corky Romano, mainly because Peter Berg and Sean Penn as the brothers are outstanding. There's incredible scenes where Peter Berg can't read and he's trying to order ice cream, and the things are chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, and he's like, "Yeah, let me get that Rocky Road." And they're like, "Sir, our flavors are on the side of the car." "Yeah, I'm gonna get that pistachio." When I was like 11, I'm like, well, that's comedy. He can't read. That's the height of comedy. So,
my gosh.
Chris Kattan's stardom.
Yeah, can we get an SNL count?
That's 2 more SNL.
In post, can we get a ticker? Because I got John Lovitz. I got John Lovitz over here.
Oh no shit! Yeah.
Let's get just a ding as they come up. Okay, somebody handle that. Francois, where are you?
Yeah. Fantastic. All right, we've arrived. I'm going to come in close. To me. Whoa, how do I get to me?
You got to be the first one.
So wait a second. Okay, Matt is your guilty pleasure.
Oh, there we go.
That's sick.
Right. You ready?
Let's do it.
I feel guilty already.
Some thoughts have a certain sound, that being equivalent to a form. Through sound and motion, you'll be able to paralyze nerves, shatter bones, fires, suffocate an enemy, or burst his organs. My number one guilty pleasure from 1984 is Dune.
Speaking of Spice World.
Very funny.
I mean, this comes as no surprise to these guys. I'm sure they all know my love for Dune. Why
don't you wear the shirt? You have a Dune shirt.
I know it's in the room. I should have worn it because it would give it away.
He loves it so much he doesn't wear it.
It's framed. I have it in a frame. Yeah. And so this movie is obviously super maligned. Huge budget. People think of it as being a big flop. And it had a budget of 40. It actually wasn't a big flood. It had a budget of like $42 million, and it actually made $38 million. So in the scale of flops, it actually almost made money. So like it's not a huge flop, this thing, but I think and the way it flopped it was in that they had these expectations for it. They had the expectations. They wanted it to, like Matt said about his previous movie, they wanted it to be a Star Wars. They were like, okay, let's get a Star Wars out there. And so they tried to make it into that, and they got all the merchandise, and they got like action figures, the whole bit. They went all out, and people were not into it. And so here the problem is with Dune is that it is way too much. And so I will get it back up here, and I'll show you there is so much information that they have to do that when they put it in theaters, they handed these out in theaters.
That's
this is
insane.
like a glossary. So when you went to the theater, you got a glossary of, and it's 2 pages. I couldn't find the other page. This is page 1 of 2. They literally like laid it out for you. Like, here are some things you need to know to understand this movie. And like, if you need to hand me a 2-page for me to understand your movie, I don't know. You're already on the bad foot, right? But that's the thing with Dune is there's so much going on. They have, it's a ton of political intrigue. You have all these different houses, all these different moving pieces, and they're trying to put this whole thing into this. Basically, David Lynch wanted to make it a 3-hour film, and they're like, no, you got to cut this down to about 2 hours. And so it ended up being, I think it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Release the Lynch cut.
Yes. Well, they actually have like an uncut version, and it has like production stills and stuff like to fill in those scenes.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so they could, because there's so much things, and so like I said, this had a humongous budget for the time, $40 million, and you can see it when you watch this thing. This thing looks incredible. The costume design is incredible. The sets, the spaceships, everything looks amazing. The worms, all this stuff looks amazing. And then you have the David Lynch stuff thrown in there too, and it's super weird. But the problem is that unless you've read the book, you have no idea what's going on. You're sitting there watching from scene that stuff are happening, and there's so much going on where they have to explain what's happening through exposition that it's just filled with that, because otherwise you have no idea what's going on. But so it's like most of the movie is exposition going on with what they're talking about, and they have to throw these little scenes in there just to like carry things along, because it's so jam-packed, and it's like you can't, it's super hard to make this movie. And so I'm super curious to see the Denis Villeneuve movie. I've been dying to see it since last year. It was supposed to come out last year. I'm dying to see what he does with it. But again, I think when doing my research, the people that really love this movie are the people that are very familiar with the source material. Because if you know the source material, you can follow along because you know what's going on. You know all the people involved. You know that's happening with it, and you understand what's happening. Lynch puts a lot of like his own little things in there, and it's kind of weird. But fun fact, and I'm sure you guys probably might know this, David Lynch was offered 2 movies, and he decided to take this one. Do you guys know what the other movie is? Matt's nodding his head. Return of the Jedi. David Lynch was offered Return of the Jedi or Dune, and he took Dune. And personally, thank goodness on all accounts, because I can't even imagine what David Lynch's Return of the Jedi would be.
Probably look like Dune.
Yeah,
I mean, exactly. It would have been 3 hours on Tatooine.
Yeah,
it would have rescued Han at like the hour 50 mark.
I'm actually thankful for Dune as well, that it was a big flop, because it forced David Lynch to go back to making his own movies. He's coming off of Elephant Man, and that's how he got this movie. Gina De Laurentiis' daughter had gone to see an Elephant Man. He said, okay, this is your guy to do Dune. And so this being a big flop, and David Lynch took it personal, took his name off it and everything, it forced him to go back and start making his own writing and making his own creations. And that's what he should have been doing. He should never have taken something on. He's an artist, and he should be doing his own art, not making, franchises or somebody else's material. So I'm thankful that it flopped, because it got him to do his own thing. But I still love this movie. I love Dune. So that is my number one. I'll stand by it.
I'm glad you got to use it.
Yeah.
The remake, sexiest cast of all time, men and women included.
When it was announced, I was not. Scott can tell I was not on board. I was hating on it. And then they announced it was Denis Villeneuve at the helm, and I was like, "Okay, you got." And then
I sent you every day. I sent you an A-lister who would join the cast.
I was like, I did a complete 180. I was like, I'm all in on this now. You signed Denis Villeneuve to do this thing. I am all in on this. Let's go. So, Freaking COVID, I would have, if without COVID, I would have already seen this thing by now. And the way things are going, I may never see this movie. So
I know that's the one movie where they said they were going to release, I think, on HBO Max, and then like Villeneuve and Chalamet
like,
and all them are like, no, you're just not gonna. We're just gonna wait it out. So who knows? But
we'll see.
Oh well, gentlemen, get ready.
I know where this is going. I already know this is going. He's gonna Paul Rudd us.
Yeah, I wanted to Paul Rudd you, but I decided I'm going to show you something else instead.
Oh,
so here you go.
We're gonna get flagged for this.
This. Get ready for the all-time cameo coming up. Hey! This is 1988's Mack and Me. That's right. My number one was always gonna be a number one. Forget E.T. Get out of here, E.T.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, Mack? I was just gonna say Scott's on board,
but I've never seen Mack on board.
Matt, well, come on, you love High School Musical too. Look at this dance number.
This is unbelievable.
This is
dance.
Look
at that bear.
This is sick as hell. Yeah, this is great.
Okay. Look at this football, guys. Okay, I gotta stop. I can't, or I'll just laugh through this whole thing. Okay. 1988 Mack and Me. There was no way. I mean, thank goodness for Paul Rudd, sort of Rick Rowland, Conan O'Brien every time he comes on and showing clips of the wheelchair going down the hill so that people actually know what Mack and Me is.
Yeah.
Mack and Me I saw in theaters, sort of adding to my list here. Everything here I saw in the theater. This is legitimately, I consider this an amazing movie. It's cheesy, bad effects. When they get sucked into the like rock collector, it looks horrible. It's basically these family of aliens that get collected up when like a shuttle goes on a mission to, I don't know if they even say if it's a planet or the moon or what they say, but they get sucked up into the rock collector thing and brought back, and they get brought to a laboratory, and then they're going to get tested and whatever, and they break out anyway. So this little one, the younger one there, goes and hides in a. Oh, hey, let's look up the terminology on Mack and Me.
Sorry.
The younger alien there winds up stowing away with a little boy in a wheelchair and his family as they move to Los Angeles. Anyways, so many things that are great about this. You know who does who composes the music? And I could tell right away. I was like, oh my gosh, is this who I think it is? It's Alan Silvestri.
I was gonna say,
wow.
And when you listen to the music, you're like, yeah, it is. Absolutely, it is. But that isn't the best part about this. This film won, nominated for I think 4 or 5 Razzies. Won two, worst director and worst new star. You know who got it? Ronald McDonald. That's right. This film won a Razzie for Ronald McDonald.
I did not know that. That's hilarious.
Didn't know that was possible, but it happened. But the best part about this film is the blatant, and I think Matt alluded to this in one of his films, product placement. This film is sort of slammed for its just like essentially the main characters, aliens, not the main characters, but the aliens are sort of dying in the desert of wherever they are. And how do they bring them back to life? Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. And before that happens, they're constantly drinking it, and the Lily Lamb always wants it, and he steals it, and Coca-Cola. Not just Coca-Cola, they do enjoy some Sprite as well at one point. But there's like that whole McDonald's, that whole dance scene is in a McDonald's, makes no sense at all. None of these people know each other. They all just break out into dance, and Ronald's there, and it's just one big advertisement for like a McDonald's party, the birthday parties basically, because that's what's happening there. And then there's also Skittles. Those 3 things dominate. Like, how, like, what was it? Demolition Man with Taco Bell.
Yeah.
This showed how to do that, man. It's everywhere. So it won me over when the little kid, as a separate note, was sitting in his bedroom watching a cartoon on TV, and it was my favorite cartoon at the time, Snorks. So I got my favorite movie and my favorite cartoon in that movie. And that dance number with that teddy bear, which was the alien in the teddy bear, which terrified me. Terrified me. And okay, so I'll end on this. These couple little notes here. One, I dug deep, as you do in these, and I found out there's actually another cut to this film. And so I don't know if you guys remember who have seen it, what happens towards the end. The boy in the wheelchair, Eric, actually dies, right?
Yeah.
He dies. Like there's an explosion which sort of kills him. Not quite sure how, but it kills him, and they have to cut him, bring him back to life. So Coca-Cola doesn't do it; the alien does. And he does. He does his little, and so he brings him back to life. But there's a Japanese cut of the film. So when this film originally, the director. And this is dark, man. So this explosion of this van happens. The kid winds up on the ground. He's dead. We don't really know how. Whatever, he's dead. In the Japanese version, what the director wanted to do was have, because there's all the agents, like the scientists, agents, whatever. Feds shooting. They're just like shooting at the aliens, right? They shoot the kid. I saw it. If you look it up on YouTube, there's a clip. Boom, and he gets shot. And he dies, and I'm like, that is horrible. And it didn't make the North American film, but it made it to theaters in Japan.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty amazing. And last thing to say, if you watch the end scene, they're not end credits, but end scene. And let's see if I can pull this up real quick here. This is how
the teaser of all time.
Yeah, it's a little small because I could not find, because obviously it's Mack and me. They drive away. Of course, the aliens get their American citizenship. Just for the record there. This is the first film where the aliens get American citizenship. They drive away in their pink Cadillac because now somehow they know how to drive. And that balloon, I don't know why that is a balloon or a bubble.
It's a bubble gum.
Yeah, but I don't quite know how this occurred. But anyways, it says, "We'll be back." Teasing Mack and me too.
Oh.
And I forgot that, and I saw that, and I went, oh, Mack and me too. It never happened. Didn't even go.
Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, gee, I wonder why.
They would have had one sale right here.
So, okay, I have known Mike for a long time. We have known each other since high school. I will attest to the fact that from the second, well, not from the second, but basically from
as soon as I met him,
basically he has preached the gospel of Mack and me for as long as I've known him, and like basically has spread the gospel of Mack and me to everyone we know.
Until Paul Rudd, I was holding the torch.
This guy, he was holding the torch, and then this guy, that's why this guy loves Paul Rudd, because of his love for Mack and me.
Yeah.
That's the only reason, sole reason.
So, for the record, Waterworld would have made my list, but it's on another list. There you go.
Yeah.
One funny thing, if you want to keep the Friends connection going, I just Wikipedia'd Mack and me. Jennifer Aniston appears as an uncredited background extra.
Yeah.
So you continue your Friends.
Of course she does.
So we got Friends in SNL. That's what this episode's all about. Friends in SNL.
I've seen Mack and me maybe a dozen times when I was a kid, but I never owned it. We rented it that many times because we enjoyed watching that movie. I haven't seen it since I was 12 years old, but that's one movie where if you've seen it once, you'll never forget it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's great.
Okay. My number one. Now, this is not a movie I love. This is not even really a movie I like. I watched it once. And I enjoyed what I saw. It made me laugh.
This is great. You're really selling it.
What a number one.
I told you guys while I was watching it, and when you guys, you didn't exactly razz me about it, but I said it made me laugh. My number one is Holmes and Watson.
Oh my God, I didn't see it. That's funny. Go on.
I watched this. It was at the end of like a Sherlock Holmes marathon for me. Me and my friends, we were playing the Sherlock Holmes Consulting to Detective board game. So it was in my head. So I went down a rabbit hole. I rewatched all of Sherlock. I rewatched Elementary. I rewatched the Robert Downey Jr. movies, and I rewatched Young Sherlock Holmes, and this was on Netflix. It was like, all right, click play. And it took so many different aspects from all of those different other TV shows and movies and laid it out in a way that I cracked up because it's a parody of Sherlock Holmes. So it was in my wheelhouse. And so it made me laugh. And I have to put it on this list as a guilty pleasure. Again, I only saw it once and I'll only intend to see it. I didn't even rewatch it for this list because it's been taken off Netflix since, and I was like, well, I'm not paying to watch this.
Taken off by people with
Netflix.
pitchforks and torches.
Netflix is like
Netflix.
No.
Yeah.
They just made that purchase for Knives Out too. They're like,
even
we gotta cut
that's
some
below
stuff.
us. They're like, we have straight to DVD bulk crap for days, but that's way below us.
What did your Netflix queue recommend after you watched this? That's what I want to know.
$8,000 too.
Well, I didn't click the thumbs up, so I
man.
don't think it registered as well as it might have.
Gosh.
I this is a film, and there's only been a couple of these, but I might have referenced one in the past episode. Put it on with my wife, and we both turned to each other at about 7 or 8 minutes in and went, nope. And turn it off.
There's I'll just talk quickly about a couple scenes. It starts off with an homage to young Sherlock Holmes. You meet Sherlock and Watson in like grade school or whatever. They're really young kids, and all of the kids are picking on Sherlock because he's smarter than them, and he starts to cry, and I think they make him kiss like a donkey's ass or something, and that starts to make him cry, and they start picking on him. So he vows at that point to never have emotions again, and willingly pushes the tear back into his eye to stop himself from crying. And I was like, that's hilarious. As far as a Sherlock Holmes character, I was like, I believe he could do that for sure.
Oh my God.
Later on, they take references from the Robert Downey Jr. movies where before he gets into a fight, he goes through his mind about what's going to happen, and then you see it happen. They're in Baker Street house, and there's a poisonous mosquito has been let loose, and it lands on Watson's face. So Holmes picks up a cricket bat and then talks himself and talks through what's going to happen. He's like, because of the wind pressure, the acceleration, and my foot pace, I'll just tap it right off of his nose. And of course that doesn't happen because it's Will Ferrell. Just smacks him right in the face. I cracked up.
You're like, you sold me on Surf Ninjas. I'm like, I'm all in on Surf Ninjas. You're not convinced that you just put this even further down the not watch list.
Okay,
like
it's got your girl Kelly MacDonald in it.
Oh,
there's about a million other Kelly MacDonald things.
That's a good argument. Good argument.
Yeah.
Climax of the movie is they have to stop a bomb from going off on the Titanic and killing Queen Victoria. They do that. They dismantle the bomb or whatever. They save Queen Victoria, and the Titanic survives to set sail with their girlfriends on it. They say goodbye to their girlfriends as they make their way to America. And one of the last images in the movie is Billy Zane on the Titanic waving goodbye.
He is. He's always there. He's always on the Titanic.
There's the best part of the film.
Yeah, I would be down with that.
Ray Fiennes Moriarty. That's pretty badass. Really good too. I feel like that'd be really good.
It is, but I don't want to say he's barely in the movie. It's almost a cameo.
So
I will say that I love Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly together. I think their comic timing together is amazing, and obviously I love the stuff that they've done up until that point. And they could not get me to watch that movie. I saw all the stuff for it, and I was like, no, I'm just not going to do that, guys. You had me for all these other movies. I will enjoy all those other movies over and over again, long before I even dream about putting this on. Oh man, no.
All right, what you got, Scott?
Okay, so my number one. So, 1999. Big year for film. I have a book upstairs that says it was the best year in film. Lots to digest.
Is this what I think?
Let's talk about one of the biggest busts of the year.
Wow.
We're going back to the Wicca Wow.
Wow.
Will Smith is my favorite thing in Hollywood, guys. Will Smith's entire filmography, his demeanor, his character, everything about it is my favorite in film.
I'm going to defend Sky here. This is perfect choice for this list.
This is what a guilty pleasure is. I want to talk to.
Yeah.
This movie has two things. So a big star. I'm 12 years old. Men in Black, Independence Day, right off that. I think I even watched Enemy of the State in 1998, and that was a little bit too adult for me, but it had my guy in it. I will defend him. Still to this day, 2021, I will defend my guy to the end of the earth. Never made a bad movie. So Wild Wild West comes out, which you find out he turned down The Matrix to do this film. Couldn't make heads or tails of that script. Didn't know what to do. This doesn't make sense. I want to do Wild Wild West. It's with Barry Sonnenfeld again. We did magic on Men in Black. We're going to make a line of toys. I'm going to do a song. We're going to get to that in a second. And it's going to be a big hit. Watch this movie again. There's a lot of problems, most of which make it for an enjoyable film. The pacing is a mess. It's super racist. There's a lot with Kenneth Branagh and him going back and forth. Kenneth Branagh playing this.
It takes place 2 minutes after the Civil War ends.
Yeah. So, so Kenneth Branagh doing God knows what as Loveless. He's in this half-waist creature with a spider obsession. We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. we know about that.
Spend a lot of time on it. And he and Will Smith are going back and forth, and Will's like backhanded complimenting him straight-faced on his disability, and he's like overtly saying some racist lines to him. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, guys, this is intense in the script writing process. So of the film, you get Kevin Kline, you get Will Smith, and they do their thing. Movie starts up. Will Smith does some cool shit. He's with the girl in the tub, and I'm just like, oh, even this week, I watched it. I'm eating it up. I'm 12 years old. I'm eating it up. I'm 33. I'm eating it up. And then it cuts and it goes to like the main themes, and it has like opening credits, like a TV show. And I'm like, these are unbelievable with the theme song and that, and I'm all in. Movie begins. Pacing problems galore. I don't know what's going on. This whole movie's nuts. Will looks great. He looks incredible. And there's some really funny shit in it. Kevin Kline's got some funny gadgets that go through, and he's playing two roles because he's also Ulysses S. Grant for some weird reason. And then
actor.
Selma Hayek comes in, and she's involved, and then they're going to stop Loveless. What makes this movie such a fun, guilty pleasure? Like I said, aside from it having my favorite actor of all time, there's so much behind the scenes stuff, again, with Will doing that. And again, you guys all know what I'll say the story, the giant spider in the third act. And you find out years later that Kevin Smith wrote a treatment for a Superman film for John Peters, the producer of this film. And in it, he had 3 specific rules. Superman cannot fly, Superman cannot wear the suit, and Superman has to fight a giant spider at the end of the film. And Kevin Smith's like, that makes no sense to me, but I'll write a treatment of the film. John Peters wants a spider in it. Lo and behold, that Superman film doesn't happen. He sees Wild Wild West. The third act is this giant spider creature that they're getting on and they're doing, and it's going to blow up and do all this stuff. So then just knowing that and knowing the behind the scenes drama of that and seeing it, and like, again, seeing that was written for another movie by Kevin Smith and now it's in this movie because John Peters had like a fascination for spiders. Is fantastic. There's like self-referential stuff too. Like at the end, they make a flying machine, and Will asks Kevin Kline what he's going to call it. And this movie came out in 1999, and he's like, "I'm thinking Air Gordon." And I'm like, "There's a Michael Jordan reference in this movie. This is insane. What a dated reference." But that being said, so this film nominated for 9 Razzies, it won 5. The 5 Razzies it won: Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, Worst Couple, and Worst Song. And I'm going to say I will defend this song until the day I die because this song slaps. So if anybody who has ever had the pleasure of hearing Millennium on the Will 2K, the Millennium album with songs like Will 2K, The Butter, all sorts of stuff, Wild Wild West is on it. Oh, this video, this album, I could not, will not, cannot get enough of Will Smith's rap career for film and everything else that's involved. So for an absolute pleasure viewing experience, my number one guilty pleasure that I will defend will always be 1999's Wild Wild West, Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider, No You Don't Want Nada.
Yeah, that song slapped long before Will Smith got a hold of it. When Kumo D made that song, and Will Smith straight hijacked
his sister Sledge. He always does that.
He straight hijacked the whole song. We're like, I don't mind. Like, I'm all for rap songs. Sampling, different older songs from other genres, but when you're straight hijacking another rap song, and like now it's commonplace. You got what's her face, Nicki Minaj, literally stealing Baby Got Back, the entire song, and making it her song, and I'm just like, No. You can sample a song, but don't steal the whole entire song. And Puff Daddy made a whole career out of it. And we're like, come on, Will Smith, don't hijack another rapper's whole song and steal it. I was so mad. When that came out. I was like, how are you gonna do Como D that?
He's not listening. He's just singing.
I know.
Any damsel in distress, be out of that dress when you meet Jim West. Roughneck, check the law on the bond. Watch your steps.
This is when you hit
a hole in your side.
This is when you hit the credits, Matt.
I gotta get Cartman singing the song. Okay.
Oh, man. Como D for life.
I think that's our list.
Well, Wild Wild West was a movie that was on again, like Almost Heroes was on TBS on constant rotation.
Love it.
And I must have watched it 30 times. It would also be on my list of guilty pleasures, I guess, because I do enjoy Wild Wild West as well.
Yeah.
It's got Barry Sonnenfeld, Will Smith, pretty much the same formula as Men in Black, and failed so miserably. It's really surprising to me that it did.
Is it really that surprising?
Yeah, I was just gonna say
the premise of it.
Did I see that in theater with you, Mike?
I sure. I saw it in theater. I know. Yeah.
Because I think a bunch of us went to see it. I definitely saw it with a bunch of the crew.
There's some good
shit. I didn't walk out of it. I don't know if that's any.
I didn't either. But I remember walking out of it. Being, what the hell did I just watch? And why was there a giant robot spider in the middle of a western? Okay. So I'm 100% glad that we had this list now before we got to another list, because if that movie was on another list is coming up,
no way,
I would quit the show entirely. I'm like, we're done. I know you love Will Smith, but we're done here. We're done. So thank goodness for Guilty Pleasures. Thank you that it's on this list. I will take that solace.
Now, before we end here, I want to do something that we had discussed doing. We don't all have to do this. It's up to you guys. But I wanted to mention that out of all the ones there, I'm going to walk away wanting to check out, because I think I vaguely have seen it. But you know those films where you think you've seen it and you've seen it so long ago, you don't. Surf Ninjas is what I'm going to walk away with. I'm going to check that out this month as the movie I want to see off of Matt's Guilty Pleasure list.
I think I have two. I definitely need to rewatch Mack and Me because it's been such a long time. But I've never seen Stay Tuned. And I would walk by that VHS all the time in the rental place.
Oh, yes. If you can't find it anywhere, borrow that DVD.
Yeah.
It's yours to borrow for sure. Anything on Andrews or Scott, or you guys are like,
I already said Surf Ninjas is making is on my watch list. And you said the Mom and Dad Save the World and Stay Tuned. I'm like, oh, that makes me itch. I haven't seen those in forever either. I might have those on VHS at my parents' house. Probably toss those on. Yeah, for sure.
Light silly watch.
Fun. And I gotta watch Dune. I've never watched Dune, so
there you go, buddy.
I know Dune's on my queue forever.
Be prepared to be confused.
Oh yeah, you gave me the book. I made
Get your almanac.
You gave me the book, and I made it like very, very little through the book.
Oh man, yeah, it is great.
So to close things out, that was our list. Thank everybody for watching. What was on your list? We want to know your top 5 guilty pleasures. Put them in the comments. Also, like, share, subscribe this video. Subscribe to the channel. Check out everything else. The Movie Trivia Championship is back. It should be airing as of the time this airs. It's probably 2 have gone by. Maybe 1 will be
maybe
soon.
7 seasons.
Yeah, maybe.
Follow Instagram, Facebook. Thanks everybody, guys. We'll see you next time. Yes, I'm gonna borrow that. I'm gonna borrow the DVD from you, Mike.
There you go.